Welcome back to another episode of Yuh See She. And today I have a super special guest. This is my former art teacher from Holy Faith Convent, Penal. I know her as Mrs. Dalip, but her real title is Merle Joseph-Karmody. However, everybody knows her in HFC as Mrs. Dalip. So, Mrs. Dalip, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Very, very
Hi.
happy to see my old, well, not old, my very young past student who still looks like she's in high school.
Thank you.
Yes.
So when we were thinking of guests, it's my husband and I were just putting together guest lists. And well, Michael knows Marcus. He's like, why don't you ask your old art teacher to come on board? And I was like, that's a fantastic idea because I have all these fond memories of Mrs. Dalip and HFC. And this will be a fantastic conversation.
Well, let's hope so.
Yes. Okay. So
Yes.
how did you actually start to get into teaching art?
Okay, well, when I left high school, my very first job was at Barclays Bank, which is now Republic Bank, right?
Yeah.
I just did it because, it was a job. You got a job and you just after high school, you're just happy. It was part-time though. And then while working one day, I got a phone call at the bank from my
Mm-hmm.
former principal, Reverend Bihari. He wanted to start a formal art program. And
Right.
because I did it for A levels, he asked me to come across. And, I thought about it and I said, well, at that point in time, teaching was paying a little more. And at that age, you're happy to get a little more money. Plus, the prospect of having vacation time and all that attracted me. So I decided to leave the
Mm-hmm.
bank and go into. But when I got there, now, first of all, when I was in high school, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to be. So I thought
Right.
I'd be an architect or a surveyor or something like that, right? And I was always in the science stream. So I never
Okay.
thought, I'd be doing art later on for A levels. Then I decided I will do art. All right.
All
So
right.
my father was an art teacher and, he encouraged me to do it. So I did it. So that's how, and I was coached privately by Reverend Bihari's wife. So they didn't have a formal teacher, right?
Right.
So I did it. And that's when he decided, he wanted to start this art program at Iere High School. And I did it, right? You find sometimes you're not sure exactly what you want to be at that age.
Yeah.
But somehow I didn't think I'd be teaching, much less teaching art. So now at Irie,
Yeah.
because it's a board school, they try to fit you in wherever there's a need. So they had me teaching French because I did French for A levels. Then I had to teach biology to Form 4. And I had to go back now into my past knowledge. But that's how they had you filling in, just like at convent,
Yeah.
where I had to teach
Yes.
literature as well.
Literature.
So so it was a little challenging in the beginning, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I went on to Teachers College and I did art as my elective. And that's how it basically started.
Right.
I started at 19
Yeah.
because when I left school, I spent about almost a year at the bank and
Right.
then retired early at 53. I
Right.
always told myself I will retire as soon as I made my service. So
Mm.
I did teach for over 33 years, right?
Yes.
I still paint now and then, as a hobby. I was never into the commercial aspect of art, although I have sold
Right.
a couple paintings and I exhibited with the Art Society of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
But I enjoy doing it more as a hobby, right? And
Right.
I enjoy
Okay.
teaching it. I really enjoy teaching it. So I'm
Yeah.
more into interior decorating and gardening and things like that.
The role of teaching and teaching art in particular. What does that entail besides, okay, yes, you have to put together curriculum, but in your day to day of being a teacher, what does that actually entail you doing?
Okay, now the subject matter side of it, of course, it'll be instructions on how to go about their paintings, their drawings, graphic design, whatever, all the different
Right.
techniques and all that. But
Yeah.
apart from that, I felt as though I needed to help them discover their own talent.
Right.
Not just
Mm-hmm.
copy like what I'm teaching or copy what they see, somewhere else. So
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
me, that was the main thing, right? So I had a role as educator, so a teacher of
Mm-hmm.
the subject, but also educating students about life as a whole
Yes.
and,
Yes.
finding their own talent, their own gifts. So I was also a dean, right? So you act as disciplinarian, but then as a counselor as well. I still have students who call me mommy. They call me mommy then. I did have one of them who really had no parents, right? And they
Right.
so that well, us teachers as parents, as many of my art students will tell you, also involve our little chit chats. And
Yeah.
sometimes they will tell me about their life, what's going on. They will ask for advice. And we
Yeah.
had a lot of informal chats as well. So it wasn't
Right.
just about teaching art and the subject, it was
Yes,
also
yes.
about guidance, counseling, whatever.
Yeah,
So
support.
I didn't see being a dean or disciplining students as being punitive,
Right,
but more
yes.
as nurturing and caring.
Yeah.
So that was my approach to it. And I felt as though, it all got well for me in terms of relationships between teachers and students. It fostered better relationships. And then I also taught literature. So, I taught you literature in Form 1,
Yes, I
and
remember.
I enjoyed having you all doing role playing, and you were very good at that. And so it was very, very interesting. One thing I will say is that many, many students, they may not remember everything you taught them, but
Yeah,
they remember how you make them feel.
of course.
And a lot of students tell me, they say, many of them message me up till now asking for advice, even on personal stuff. And they
Right.
say, Miss, you will never know how much you have
Yeah,
influenced and impacted my
of
life or
course.
my
Of
career.
course.
You made me
Yeah,
realize my value. One person particularly up to recently told me, and that was a guy, as a matter of fact, because I taught at Destiny Secondary.
right.
And this guy told me, Miss, you made me feel seen. Where he
Right.
felt invisible, for the
Yeah,
first time, somebody recognized what he was doing and encouraged him. He went
yeah.
on to the US and he started his own business and he was into photography. So he always said, Missy, you have encouraged me so much, So, as a teacher, sometimes you don't realize it,
Yeah.
but so you go on with
Yeah,
your
of
life and
course.
then years later, you know, students come
Yeah.
up to you and say, Miss, you really did make a difference. The teachers do make a difference.
Of course, you were teaching for over 33 years, you said, amongst different schools. The one
Yeah,
I would know is Holy Faith Convent Penal.
yeah,
And when you talked about influence, I have to say for me as well, under your
yeah,
guidance, being with art and creativity, I also was like, I want to do art for A levels, but I did not
yeah,
do it. And I ended up going into business. And the
yeah.
reason I didn't do that at that time is I think it was only St. Benedict's that was giving us the art. But I kept drawing. I taught myself graphic design as well through
Oh,
just courses and stuff. I started working in an advertising agency as a AE. But it's those little steps of creativity that I realized that my role now as a marketing manager years later, those are the basic stepping stones that led me to discover how much creativity that I had in me. And when I look back, I do fondly remember the art room, having our chats in the art room. I
yeah,
remember CXC vividly, and you really guiding us on composition and structure.
yeah,
And I remember panicking in CXC because I was up against so many other girls that were way better than me, or in my head, right? And I remember you saying to me, Chantal, take your time. Don't worry about it. And afterwards you said, wow, Chantal, that looks real. Like you gave me such a big
And,
compliment. I felt
and you
so
ended up getting
yes.
prize for the best student that year. I remember we had a
Yes.
exhibition,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
had this famous artist in Trinidad, Ramsara, came as a guest, and he had
Yes.
to hand over the prize to you. That was so
Yes.
exciting.
I was amazed and I was like, oh my gosh, I really did it. But again, I was thinking back to like, again, your words of advice, the support, you
Yeah,
making me believe so much in myself that I could pull this thing off, even
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
that I was not as good as these other girls. And I was like, wow. So that's like a core
yeah.
memory for me.
Encouragement to students is very, very important. I know we're on the topic of women,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
because I taught guys as well,
Yeah.
um, I realized that many of them needed affirmation, and chatting with them, I realized that and we as women and mothers, we
Yeah.
need to stop saying, all men are dogs, all men are worthless. Once women in Trinidad have a bad experience, they keep
Yeah.
saying that in front of their sons. And what is
Right.
that telling our sons? Men no good and whatever, but not all men are like that. So
Of
we
course.
as women,
Yeah.
we have a role to play in our sons,
Bring
our
up
male
the
folk.
right way. Yes.
Yes. So that we will have less of these, maladjusted young men that we have all over the place. So that, to
Yes.
me, that is important as well.
What do you think was the hardest thing behind the scenes that nobody would have seen as a teacher?
The
Right.
planning and preparation of work behind the scenes, and every teacher will tell you that. People
Mm-hmm.
don't say, they say, teachers have a lot of holidays and free time. But a
Yeah.
lot of teachers spend their holidays preparing students for SBAs. We spend time marking papers, marking SBAs as well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and preparing scheme of work, notes of lessons, stuff like that. To me, that was the hardest because you had to take your personal time away from your
Yeah.
family. And there's one more thing that was
Mm-hmm.
a little difficult. If you see a student going through a really hard time,
Yes.
and
I
you
was gonna
felt
ask.
helpless that you couldn't do anything to help. Because I had a case with one student who was going through a really hard time.
Mm.
She didn't have parents around. She was with the wrong company. And I
Right.
remember the police coming to get her in school. And that was really hard for me. So, and
Yes.
then trying to get them on track again. So,
Yeah, I was going to say, because as you said, you act as almost a second parent. You are the guardian of these
yes,
students in school.
yes,
So if something is bothering them, they're going to come to you or any teacher, really. And you have to lend your support and your guidance. And of course, you get emotionally attached to these students as well.
yes.
So behind these scenes, that must be heartbreaking at times.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook. I have a lot of adult friends, I mean, like from way
Yes.
back.
Yeah.
But most of my Facebook friends are past students.
Right.
We keep in touch. Some of them still come and visit me here. I don't know if you remember Shauna Freight. She came recently to
Yes.
visit here. Yeah. So
She's my
and
my
but you
neighbor
know
when
the
I was
younger
young.
ones like Renee Bryan, and they
Yeah.
will go out of their way to just say, Miss, I am in
Oh,
Canada. I
nice.
have to come and see you.
Yeah.
At Holy
Yeah.
Faith Convent, we were blessed to have very, very strong, talented,
For sure.
brilliant women,
For sure.
staff and students.
Yes.
Because if you look at our alumni, right, we
Yes.
have so many of them who have gone on to be judges, magistrates, lawyers,
Yes.
broadcasters, and in the field of finance as well. We
Yes.
have people in
Yes.
their own business, hairdressing,
Yeah.
aesthetics, real estate. You feel proud to see them doing whatever. So that's the satisfaction we get as teachers. When you look back,
Yes.
and every office I go into Trinidad,
Yeah.
go into, like I'm going to pensions or I'm going to NIS, there is
Yeah.
always some student who is there willing to help me out. So,
Yeah.
it's
That's
always
great.
nice and a pleasure to meet up with students.
Yes.
And
Yes.
another thing I will say, to me, it was important, if as a dean,
Yeah.
to me, it was more important to be kind rather than
Mm-hmm.
always right.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
felt I scolded someone very harshly, I was not afraid to go back and say, I should have handled this differently. I was a little
Yeah.
harsh. Although I did get
Yeah.
vexed at times, and you will shout
Of
and
course.
whatever. But
That's human
generally, if
nature.
I felt I was too harsh, I would try to make
Yeah.
peace. That's
Right.
me.
Okay, well, I'm gonna call you Mrs. Dalip throughout this whole thing, so
Call me
forgive
Merle
me.
now, as I told
I can't. It's just in my brain,
yeah,
Mrs.
some
Dalip.
people can't do it. So one day I told this girl, her
Yeah.
name is Valerie. So she said, is it okay if I call you Merle? I said, yes. I said, because we are both adults. She said, oh, I feel like a gangster now.
So what do you think being a Caribbean woman has meant to you in this journey as a teacher now? You're sitting in Canada now, but how has your Caribbean roots kind of played throughout this journey and your career basically, and now into your retirement?
In the Caribbean, we have a deep sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always get that here in Canada, right?
Right.
But in Trinidad, you have that. In the Caribbean
Yeah.
as a whole.
Yeah.
Community and diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Diversity of races,
Yeah.
cultures. I have to appreciate and embrace people of different backgrounds.
Right.
That was the whole thing. So, and Holy Faith, we had that for sure. So even now, when hosted my international students, I embrace that same concept where you treat
Right.
everybody equally and you try to
Yeah.
embrace their way of seeing things. I'm hosting them. They stay with me, but I do it in a warm, inclusive way. an
Mm-hmm.
interactive way. So I'm like, but come and have dinner with me sometimes. Even for Christmas, I took some of them. One girl was from Brazil, one
Right.
from China, one from Mauritius. We went to our parang. And when they went there, like the girl from Mauritius, she was telling me when she was among that group of people, she felt as though she was in Mauritius because
Right.
they have a similar type of population as Trinidad. They have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Indians, they have Africans, and they
Right.
also have the minority whites and Chinese. But she's
Yes.
Chinese, she's of Chinese descent.
Right.
But she felt totally at home because of
Yeah.
that, that kind of thing. And
Yes.
then the other one who's pure Chinese from China, she went in there and she just fit in so well. I tried to introduce them to what we have as well, and then they do their
Yeah.
own thing. So I've had girls from all over the place. From Ghana, then I had from India, well, China, Nigeria, Singapore.
Yeah.
And this girl, she wore a hijab, she was very much into her Muslim religion. Panama,
Right. Yeah.
Chinese girl from Panama, Brazil, Ivory Coast, Mauritius, so all over
Right.
the place. And that's in a short space of time because, they come to the college near
Right.
me. So, like,
Right.
once they finish their studies, they may move on. They might want to move on nearer downtown because they find work down
Yes.
there and so
Yeah.
on. So I found that my Caribbean roots have helped me to embrace all
Yeah.
these different people and cultures. And even in
Yes.
Toronto, it's easy to fit in
Yeah.
because our
Yeah.
Caribbean roots are visible
Right.
all over Toronto. Caribbean women have learned to be very strong. They're
Mm-hmm.
very, very strong women. I don't know if because we had to deal with so much. My grandmother, as a matter of fact, was a cane cutter at Caroni
Right.
Limited. Her
Wow.
husband died very young. And
Yeah.
she worked very, very hard in the cane field, bringing up her family and trying to,
Yeah.
make ends meet. And she passed on that strength of character and wisdom and so on to her own children. She had three daughters and a
Yeah.
son. My mother, she had it a little easier. She got married young to my dad, but she also had her challenges. I have learned a lot from her wisdom and grace. In spite of
Yeah.
everything that she went through, she
Yeah.
has been very graceful about how she dealt with it. So when my husband passed away, I had no choice. As I say, when you have no choice to be strong, you'll be strong.
Yes. Yes, that's
So I
true.
live here
And
by
you
myself. And I've learned that from my parents, grandparents, my mother, especially my grandmother.
yeah.
Generally, I'm doing everything by myself here, independent. Like
Yes.
when I see
Yeah.
Marcus when I'm ready, my son, I still have my home there, so I can visit back and forth.
And it
But
yes.
as I said, my navel string's still buried there.
I was gonna ask, while you're in Canada, what makes you feel like home when you're there in Canada? Is there anything there that represents Trinidad in a way that you feel, wow, this is home, like food or a space or your own home? I guess maybe you've curated it a certain way.
I think it's my own home actually. Plus,
Right.
two, in Toronto, we have such a diverse population of people
Yes. Yeah.
that you never feel alienated as such. I came here because I got married a second time and my
Yes.
husband was living here, right?
Yeah.
So I lived here for 10 years. So,
Mm.
you feel at home sometimes, but then at times I did miss Trinidad a whole lot. And in the beginning, especially
Yeah.
wonder, what am I doing here really? I
Yeah.
really miss home after so many years. But what I like about here is that everything is so convenient for me.
Right.
I
Gotcha.
drive in Trinidad, but I don't drive here, and I don't even see the need to drive here because getting around is so
It's
easy.
easy.
It's
Yeah.
very safe. At least for me, it's
Yes.
very safe around here. And
Yeah.
I get things done. We get
Mhm.
things done very, very. Plus the healthcare too. So over
Of
here,
course.
in Toronto, healthcare is free. I take advantage of that because I'm a Canadian citizen as well. But I love my Trinidad in spite of all the little negatives and whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but Trinidad really is a lovely place. But we just need to get rid of some of the bad elements.
Yes.
Yes,
Totally agree.
that's
Totally agree.
yeah.
Was there any moment in time that you wanted to walk away from teaching?
When I was pregnant, I had to go on bed rest. I had a
Mhm.
complicated pregnancy, early contractions, things like that. So the doctor put me on
Right.
bed rest. My blood pressure had gone up. I ended up in the
Mhm.
nursing home beforehand so they could monitor me. Then my
Right.
son came 3 weeks before time,
Yeah.
but he was healthy, came out healthy, thank God. And to me, I felt as though like postpartum, it wasn't depression, but I don't know. I felt as though I wasn't handling it very well. Thank God I had my mother there who used to come physically and help me.
Yeah.
Again, the strength of Caribbean women, we support each other.
Yes.
And she would come physically and give me a hand. And I
Yes.
honestly felt as though I couldn't deal with wanting to go back to work at that point.
Right.
But thank God, well, I had maternity leave. I went out to work for about, I think, a month or so. And then we had 2 months vacation.
Right.
In that 2 month period, because I was home with my son alone, my mother there guiding and helping and so on, I sort of recovered and then I got back. But I honestly felt as though at that point that
Yeah.
I just wanted to leave, but
Right.
I
Yes.
got over it. So people
Yes.
don't realize sometimes we as women, we go through stuff, especially after you have a baby. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize at the time that might have been postpartum depression.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
only later on when I started to read about it, I realized, this is what I was going through.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
got over it, thank God. And I had my son, he's a blessing. So,
Yes. And you
yes,
continue teaching, and that was a blessing as well.
yes, that was a blessing. Yes.
Yes, we're glad you stuck with. And you were also my form teacher in
Home
Form 1,
teacher.
I think.
Yes,
Yes, yes, in Form 1.
yes,
You would have been instrumental as for me coming into the class and coming into the school and just making it a nice, like a really easygoing type atmosphere. So I didn't feel, out of
yeah.
sorts or
I always tell the girls, you spend so many hours in the day among a
yeah,
group of 30 something girls. Try to make
yeah,
like family, try to get along
yes,
with each other, try to, make
yeah,
it work. So sometimes, you
yes,
all will have your little fights, whatever, but,
yeah. But we had more fun than fights, I
basically,
think.
yeah. I
Yes,
think
and
at Holy Faith especially, we had more well-disciplined girls than the
yeah,
one or
yeah,
two, who may not have.
yes,
And I
yeah.
don't want to say they were bad. It's just that some of them we
No,
don't know what they were going through at home. Sometimes you don't know their background. So yeah,
correct. Yes, because I do have. Every time I tell somebody I went to Holy Faith Convent Penal, they're like, "You went to where?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I live in Port of Spain now, so they can't believe that I went to school in Penal. And
okay,
I
that you
said,
were from down
"I
south. Yeah,
yeah." So I was like, "I was originally from South, and I have the fondest memories of Penal
yes,
Convent." What I remember the most is that most of the teachers were very encouraging. They really
yes,
extended themselves to the students. At least I
yes,
felt that way. I know a lot of my friends also felt that way. They took a real interest. Like I was
yes,
telling another guest that I had, Marielle Farrar. She used to drag me to Mr. Charles' public speaking class and drama and all these things.
yes,
And I said, I remember Mr. Charles probably sizing me up and saying, I wonder if this girl really serious. But he gave me the opportunity to try. And I
yes,
remember being with girls like Malika and Linda Wee and these
yes. He
like
was
these
always
really
very encouraging.
he was, and but these girls were really like they were excellent, and I think it was like a little imposter syndrome. But then again, he gave me the opportunity to express
Exactly.
myself. You know what I mean? So and I still have Mr. Charles on my Facebook as well, and he's doing great
Yes.
big things, right? But
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
remember certain teachers just went out of their way to just make us feel loved,
Yes.
supported, and at home. And you were definitely
Yes.
one of those teachers.
Thank you. One thing I will remember about Holy Faith Convent, there are a couple of girls who got transferred from St. Joseph Convent, right?
Yeah,
And they were transferred to our school because of
right,
bullying at their previous schools.
right.
And the ministry chose our school
Yeah.
because they thought we had a caring environment.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember the mother of one of those girls telling me, she said, Miss, from now on, I will always put Holy Faith Convent as first choice of my other daughters.
Yeah,
You see,
yeah,
so
yeah. Yes.
I think we were known for that. So Holy Faith
Yes, for
Convent
sure.
had a whole lot of very caring teachers. Most of those teachers, they were like family. Eventually, we
Yeah.
became like family. Miss Bettel, one of the youngest principals at
Y-
that time, she was
yes.
also very, very caring. Sister Columbus, Sister Emma,
Yes,
we
Sister
had lots of
Columba.
powerful women there,
For
So,
true. Mrs. Corby. Yeah. I remember
Bobby,
people used
yes.
to dread Mrs. Corby a little bit, but she was actually a very nice person. I remember
Oh, yeah,
like
she's
we
very
had
nice.
Yeah, so I remember we had some, I think it was a bazaar or some fundraising thing, and they allowed us to go on the PA system and be DJs in the lunchtime, and Mrs.
Okay.
Kobe was laughing and
Yes.
saying how fun it was, and so you got to see different sides of teacher, even if they didn't
Yes.
teach
Yes.
you directly. Mrs. Bernard, I always Barnard,
Yes.
sorry, Mrs. Yes, love French and all of those. I had
Yes.
really fond memories, really really fond memories.
Mind you, one of our past students replaced me
I know,
as the art
Solange.
teacher.
Yes,
And I was
yes.
there. Well, I had recommended her, and
Oh,
she did not do art with me up to Form 5.
yeah.
But we had it for I think she was one of those when we had the horror house when the parents came to help.
Yes,
Was she in your
yes.
class? Yes.
Yes,
So when Solange, decided she wanted to come for this job, I told Mrs. Kobe, I said, you cannot go wrong with Solange. And
yes.
she's
Solange
doing
is great.
really, really good with
Yes,
her
she
girls there
is.
right now. Yes.
Yes,
So, it's so nice to see all that. And we have a lot of
it
past
is.
students there
Of
right
course.
now.
Yeah, I visited and I saw Solange in her element. We keep in touch as well on Facebook. I saw her
Yeah.
in her element. My company went for career
Okay.
day,
So I was
and it
very
was
proud to see one of my students replace me.
yes, I think it's fantastic, and it's great
Yeah.
to show the strength of the HFC girls. And I think
Yes.
even in my
Yes.
podcast, I think I have at least 4 HFC girls in my podcast at minimum, and I've reached out to a
Okay.
couple others,
Right.
so
Good.
we'll see more. Yeah,
But the list that I was going to give you was from HFC. So maybe it's the
yeah,
same people you're thinking
yeah.
about because I thought of Solange as well.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
So,
I have Solange. What is one thing you think Caribbean women should stop apologizing for?
sometimes we busy seeing about everybody else,
Yeah.
that we forget to take care of ourselves.
Mhm.
So they have to stop apologizing for putting themselves first, prioritize their mental well being,
Mhm.
emotional well being, physical well being, right?
Yeah.
And they can do this by setting boundaries, learning to say no, because that was one of my weaknesses in the beginning, not being able to say no, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, Walking away from situations that don't serve them.
Very true.
To me, that's it. And stop worrying about what other people will think.
Yes.
Because I
Totally
grew up,
agree.
worrying about what other people will think. Because I stayed in a marriage that didn't serve me well in the beginning for
Yeah.
very long.
Yeah.
And thinking, what would other people think and so on until I found the strength later on to just walk out of it. And I became stronger for it.
Of course.
And
Yeah, for
I have
sure.
been doing well by myself. I ended up marrying a second time. I did have a really good marriage, my second marriage. Sadly, my husband passed away during COVID. That was a
Yeah.
really rough time.
Of
And
course.
it was difficult getting through that time.
Yeah.
But again, strong women who
Mhm.
have helped me.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you know Miss Jones, who taught Spanish at
Yes.
convent.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's my best friend here. When
Oh,
my husband
nice.
died, she was there for me all the time. She's there for me up till now. And I had
Yeah.
a couple past students. Well, one of them also is a cousin of mine. She was there for me every day.
Yeah.
And another past student, she was
Yeah.
living here when she realized she reached out to me. So it
Yeah.
was the strength of all these Caribbean women coming
Yeah.
together as we're talking about the strength of a Caribbean
Yeah.
woman. So
That's
it's
great.
amazing to see, after
Yeah.
all these years, how many of my past students still in touch.
You build up not just a family, but also supporting each other,
Yeah.
supporting you build a following really and truly.
Many teachers at the point in time when they're teaching, they don't realize the impact that they're making. That
Yes,
is
of
why,
course.
to me, as I said before, it is important to, to be kind. You don't know what people
Yes.
are going through.
Yeah, I totally agree. And now seeing that with my sons and their teachers, the impact that they have on them, you could see the difference in what one teacher might do versus another teacher. I'm very grateful for teachers who take the time and the efforts and the real energy to help support a student if they're struggling and really, just ask,
Yes,
are you okay?
yes.
Or do you need help? Or, that sort of thing. And I think is really admirable because you're not paid
Yeah.
to be a counselor. You're paid to teach. You know what I mean? So you all really go out of your way to do this out of love and
It's not
passion.
just about teaching, it's many,
Yeah.
many roles involved, So,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
so
That's
that's
why we
it.
need to pay teachers more. What do you think is one piece of advice that you wish somebody had given to you in your 20s?
To learn to walk away.
Right.
In my 20s, I should have learned to
Yeah.
walk away from certain situations. Even then,
Mm-hmm.
as I said before, what people will think, if somebody had advised me that I had the strength within me to make it on my own,
Yeah.
I would have walked away. Right. But
Yeah.
then again, I cannot have certain regrets because there was still some good that came out of whatever the situation was.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
But that's my
Definitely.
main thing because long ago we had this thing, what this one will think or what this one will think about you. So we have to
Yeah.
learn to stop doing that because in the
Yes.
long run you have to live your life. It's
Correct.
not
And
about what
and
other people think.
I was gonna say, don't study what people are looking at on Instagram or social media or what they're saying. Ignore that. You have to live your life for yourself and only for yourself. What energizes you, Mrs. Dalip? Is it a song, a mantra, a book, food, anything? What energizes you daily to get up and do what you're doing?
First of all, my mantra is one day at a time. I learned that recently when I was going through that COVID period.
Yeah.
Chantal, I am telling you, I would not have wished COVID on anyone at that time. I did not have a
Yes.
vaccine. My husband
Yeah.
died while I was sick here. I
Yeah.
had lost 18 pounds. And
Gosh.
my trend of thought was like way off. And a lot of people in long
Yeah.
COVID will tell you that. I could
Yeah.
not do more than one mental task for the day. So if I go
Wow.
online and I pay one bill, that's all I'll do for the day. I could not concentrate.
Right.
I was so distraught that I had to keep praying every morning then there was this anxiety. So I had to
Yeah.
keep praying one day at a time, one day at a time. And
Yeah.
of course, I had, my sister Maria. She would call me every day and she will encourage me and whatever. So that's my mantra, one day at a time, even up till now. And then I have this song that I really, really like. When I retired, I mentioned it to the school body there.
Hmm.
I Hope You Dance
Okay. Yes, I know that
by
song.
Leanne
Yeah.
Warmer. You find pleasure in the small things, the little
Right.
wonders around you and so on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whenever you get a chance to do something, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just do it. Don't bother about what anybody else will think. So that
Yeah.
energizes me. And
Yeah.
I like little things like that, a little
Yeah.
outings. I remember I used to take you
Yes.
on a lot of little outings as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
yeah, and just go exploring and then
Yeah.
travel. I traveled to the US a couple of times in the last few years and to Trinidad, but
Yeah.
I want to get
Yeah.
back into it because years ago I used to travel a lot with Mr. Westmus to
Okay,
Brazil and
yes.
Chile and Venezuela
Yes.
and Colombia and all those places. We had so much
Yes.
fun. So they also were
Yeah.
HFC people, Mrs.
Of
Westmus,
course,
very
Mr.
nice
Westmas
people.
and Mrs. Westmas. Yes.
Yeah,
I still in touch
yeah.
with
So
Nadia, actually. She's on
yeah,
my social media as well.
I'll tell you, you have to learn gratitude. In spite of everything that I went through, all the
Yeah.
storms, I try to go through it with grace and strength and
Yes.
with gratitude and kindness in my heart. You take it one day at
Yeah.
a time and you appreciate every moment.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, all we have is this moment
Hmm.
because you never
Very
know what
true.
will happen. As soon as I leave here, anything else can happen. So we just have to be grateful for the moment and for the people that we have in our lives. And you have two lovely sons, you have your husband, you have a nice young
Yeah.
family, and I'm sure that energizes you, right? You're the most important person to me right now. Well, family, basically, but it's
Yeah.
my son.
Yeah, great. So this podcast is about how you see she as in the woman, right? I
Yes.
say, Mrs. Dollar, you see she, you see yourself.
You see, she's stronger than you think. She
Nice.
has been through many storms, but she has weathered them with grace, resilience, gratitude, and kindness in her heart. She's a strong Caribbean woman.
Yeah.
Because generally, I think Caribbean women they have learned to be strong. It
Yes.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter what race, what background we had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if like you come to a foreign country, we should not ever have to apologize for, "Oh, I'm just from the West Indies, or I'm just from the Caribbean, or I'm just from
Yeah.
Trinidad." No, I am from the Caribbean and I'm proud of it.
Yes. Agreed. Totally. I totally agree. I love it. And so now, what do you see yourself doing in your retirement? You're hosting, but you said you also continue in your arts. Let's talk about that.
I did a few for the home here. And I have
Right.
a whole lot in Trinidad, and I did sell one or two pieces on demand,
Yeah.
right? So, like, there was one I did of in front of Holy Faith Convent. The
Right?
school had commissioned that because they wanted to
Yes.
give that to Sister Columba as a gift before she
Oh,
left for Ireland. So that's in Ireland, right? And
very
then I had
nice.
one or two little odd pieces for private people who just wanted
Yeah.
something done, and I did it. But I'm not into the commercial aspect of it,
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
not yet. People say, why I don't go, and sell your work? I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe I'm lazy. I don't know.
No.
But I just enjoy doing other things, and I like painting in
Yeah.
my leisure time. Like if I want
Yes.
something for the home, I'll do it. And people say, why I don't do a sip and paint? I say, I taught art for over 33 years. I do not want to teach art again. Right? I will do it in my own spare time. So that's it.
Yeah.
So like I am retired. I
Yes.
retired early, but I'm way past retirement age now.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying my free time, and
Yeah.
actually I'm never really free because I'm
Right.
always doing something. I have a house to manage here, and I have students here. I always have to make sure things are in place for them. So I'm always occupied. And even
Yes.
before, I was always back and forth because I had a house being built there, and that's where Marcus is.
Yeah.
So, one thing
Of
I
course,
do
yeah.
believe is that you let children grow up and be what they want to be. You
Yeah.
encourage and you help. You could
You
give
could
advice.
guide.
Yeah,
Yes.
you could guide, but I don't believe in demanding.
Yeah.
I'm there, and he's been there for me too. He supports me in
Yeah.
whatever decisions I make. So
Yeah.
I'm very proud of him. So he's been
Yes.
through a lot in life too, but he again, and as I was saying, we as women need to support our sons, our
Yes.
brothers,
Yes.
because sometimes you
Yeah.
don't know what they are going through. So that's it basically.
What does taking your seat at the table mean to you?
Generally in life, in politics, in the world, having a voice. I feel I should be able to voice my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whatever is going on in my life or in the world without being judged. Another thing is controlling my own destiny. And in controlling my own destiny, I can also help others along the way. So
Mm-hmm.
at some time, you have to forget the noise,
Right.
all the noise around you. And you have to do what's important to you first. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not only about what other people think, your voice matters. And
Yes.
your way of doing things matters. And of course, we think of ourselves as only like Trinidadians or people of the Caribbean and so on, but we live in a global world. And me living here and having to deal with women from
Yeah.
all these different backgrounds, I realize how much we women have in common. In
Yes.
spite of all the diversity of, culture and
Yeah.
race and all that, women have a lot in common. A lot of
Yeah.
struggles that we have to go through,
Yeah.
and we need to build each other up all the
Yeah.
time. And having a voice also means that you can have a voice when it concerns your sister or your friend, and you will
Yes.
be able to support them as well. So
Yes.
basically, that's it.
Great. And is there any words of advice or wisdom that you would like to leave with our audience?
Just be yourself. Always follow your heart. Sometimes the vision is not clear, but somehow you will get a sign when the time is right. But always follow your heart, follow your dream, and always have a goal. Some people say, well, I have this goal that this will happen. And if it doesn't happen, they get disappointed and they
Yeah.
get distraught. It is important to realize that no matter how old you get, you can change your focus, you can change your direction. And
Yes.
I
You could
have
change your
done that.
career. Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
done that. I gave up a whole life in Trinidad after so many years to come here and to do different things. And you realize that the material things are not important. I
Mm-hmm.
remember my mom asking me the last time I visited, she said, Merle, so you don't miss home? I said, Ma, I call her Ma. I say,
Mm.
I don't really miss home. Home is like the material thing.
Yeah.
I miss the people around. Like
Yeah.
I miss Marcus, or I'll miss Maria, I'll miss you. And then when
Yeah.
I'm not in Canada, I will miss my niece because she stays here. I will miss
Yeah.
my friends who are here. And when my husband was alive, I'll miss him. But you realize that it's not the material things that matter really,
Yeah.
but it's the
It's
people around
people.
you. And it is
Yes.
important to value those who are close to you
Yeah.
and those who value you as well. So
Mm-hmm.
basically,
Totally
that's my
agree.
advice. Be
Great.
yourself, and stay close and value the people who are most important to you.
Around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Dalip, for being a guest on the podcast of Yuh See She. I think we had a great conversation today and it was lovely catching up. The memories are just
It
coming
was.
back.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. I was going to say, before we got on the call, Mrs. Dalip was reminding me of when she was my form teacher and we did Halloween one year. And our Halloween horror house was so scary that
Yes,
she did not want her
yes.
son to come in.
I didn't want my son, he was small then. I didn't want him to go into that horror house because I knew how, I don't know, it was so realistic. Chantal was the perfect witch. We had a good sound system. I think
Yes,
this
we
girl,
did.
Cami Hector, her dad helped us put that sound system together.
I can't
And then
remember.
we
I
had
just remember it was pitch black.
Solange parents, I think, were there too.
Yes,
And we had a
yes.
lot of parents who always helped us out. And it was so convincing, you know, that it was really, really scary. So,
Yes, it
Chantal, you did a
was.
very good job. You were always very creative,
Thank
always
you.
talented. Never doubt your talent at all. And recently you did
Thank
a
you.
skit, or was it a lip syncing skit?
Oh, yes. It was lip
Yeah.
syncing.
And it reminded me so much of when you were in Form 1 and you did that role playing of Little House
Yes.
on the Prairie.
And funny enough, when we were doing it, I actually told my team, I said, y'all, I remember doing this kind of thing in HFC Convent where we would have these like talent show things. And I remember doing a Paul
Yes.
Keynes Douglas piece. And I still remember
Yeah,
the
you were
actual.
always in
Yeah.
this.
I remember it still to this day and thinking, oh my God, how did I do that? Why did I go to
You were brave and you were talented. So
Yes.
that's
But
even, I
thank
don't think
you.
you weren't shy. I will tell you that.
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
very
yeah.
brave. You were very, very
I did
brave.
try to
And
experience
even
a
though
lot
you
of
were
different
very
things.
petite, you did not
Yes.
allow the bigger girls to intimidate you. So
Very true.
yeah, that was it. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much again. It was lovely
You're
catching up.
welcome.
And
It was a pleasure.
I was gonna say, if I do come to Canada at any point in time, I'll definitely reach out to you. And
Of
I'm glad to know
course, you
that.
are free. You are
Yeah.
invited. I have a guest room upstairs. So
Lovely, because I was gonna
upstairs
say
is just me
I'll ask
alone. The
Shona.
girls are downstairs.
Right, no problem. But I'll definitely reach out to you, Mrs. Dalip. I can't. That's how I have to call you. Thank you.
Yes.
Of course.
Okay.
But thank you
So all
again.
the
It
best.
was lovely chatting with you.
Okay,
And you take
bye.
care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.